What's up, soldiers? It's WildBlueYonder, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the waivers that have been changed if you're coming into the Air Force. Now, these waivers pertain to eczema, asthma, ADHD, and smoking marijuana. Now, these four groups represented the highest volume of waiver requests coming into the Air Force. So a lot of people, they were trying to get into the Air Force, but hey, I have eczema, or I have asthma, or maybe I smoked weed when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and now I can't come into the Air Force. Now, these are people who are otherwise outstanding people. They have great credit history. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with them other than this small medical problem. And the Air Force realizes that we're trying to recruit a lot of people and that we're going to have to turn away a lot of people if we're going to keep these rules. So now we have these new waiver standards. If you have eczema, which is, a mild form of skin dryness that I've met people before, I've had friends before that have had eczema, and it's very treatable. It's like very common condition that is very treatable. And to me, I understand maybe you don't want to have airmen with eczema out on the flight line where it's cold and windy and sometimes the sun will be bearing down on you. That's bad for your skin. But maybe we can have you inside doing administrative work, or we can have you in logistics doing something in a warehouse and you're not quite outside all the time. So this is what they say. Those who are medically classified as having a mild condition of eczema will process for a waiver. You may have a restricted Air Force job. So you may have a job, like I said, indoors, but at least you can be in the Air Force now. If you have asthma, you will perform the methicillin challenge test if you have an ambiguous history of asthma. So if you have a history where it's like little bouts of asthma attacks, or maybe you had to use an inhaler for a few months of your early childhood, then you have an ambiguous, maybe not so clear condition of asthma. So you'll have to do this test. If you pass it, then you can apply for a waiver. Now, as far as ADHD goes, the Air Force has standards that if you pass those standards or if you're compliant with them, then you can just come in. If you don't meet the standards, then you can apply for a waiver. The standards are candidates who have taken more than a single daily dose of medication, or candidates who are on medication for longer than 24 cumulative months after the age of 14. So if you've taken more than a single daily dose of medication, or if you're on medication longer than two cumulative, not consecutive, there's a difference there. So if you have 2 years of your life totally after the age of 14 on medication for ADHD, you can apply for a waiver still, but only if you can demonstrate 15 months of vocational or academic stability off of medication immediately preceding your enlistment. So that means that you have to demonstrate that you can be a functioning member of society without medication for 15 months immediately before you come into the Air Force. If you've taken less than a single daily dose of medication, if you were on medication for less than 24 cumulative months after the age of 24, then you do not have to apply for a waiver. You just come into the Air Force like a normal person. If you have any questions on that, make sure you leave them down in the comment box below. I will try my best to answer these questions for you. I will also leave a link in the description down below where I got all of this information. As far as marijuana goes, they're still not really okay with marijuana. You still can't smoke it in the Air Force, but if you smoked it before the Air Force, then they're a little bit more lenient to it now. They used to have a certain number, like you couldn't smoke more than maybe 10 or 11 times before you joined the Air Force, and that was like a specific number. Like you can't say I smoked weed 13 times, and then they're like, okay, well now you have to apply for a waiver and you have to go through this whole process. But if you did less than that, then I think that's still okay. No, wait, if it was more than that before, it doesn't matter. It's gone now. They removed that whole rule. So now it's no numerical rule of any kind. This is quoted from airforce.mil. In accordance with DoD standards, a medical diagnosis of substance-related disorders or addiction remains medically disqualifying for service. So if you've been medically treated, or you went through rehab or something, or you've been diagnosed with an actual addiction, which I didn't even know you could be diagnosed for an addiction, then you are still disqualified from joining the service. Additionally, any legal proceedings associated with pre-service use will continue to be reviewed and adjudicated separately and may be disqualifying depending on the nature of the offenses. The Air Force will maintain a strict no-use policy. So that means you still can't smoke in the Air Force. An applicant or enlistee will be disqualified for service if they use drugs after the initial entrance interview. The waiver process changes are effective immediately. The Air Force continues to work with the Office of Secretary of Defense and other services to review existing medical. Okay, so they're still looking at other things. They're still trying to decide, okay, what can we change to make this more of a modern system and we can get more people into the Air Force that would have previously been turned away and had no real big issues currently, and that could have been a functioning member of the Air Force. So if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment box below. My battery's about to run out, so I'm about to try to end this video as quickly as I can. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.